Hello YouTube, I am Hasani Smith, and I'm a 14-year-old software engineer. You're watching Brothers Who Code. And today is the 4th episode of my HTML and CSS course, and in today's video, we're going to be learning about CSS Grid. Now, if you've been following along the series, we haven't really done much in CSS. I've been focusing mainly on HTML. But today, I want to start you guys off on how to make a header. And how to make a header, one of the ways you can make it, and the way that I usually make it, and one of the easiest ways to make it, probably the easiest way to make it, is using CSS Grid. So, if we come down here, we're on W3 Schools. If you don't know what W3 Schools is, go check out my last video, episode 3. I explain what it is in detail. We have the documentation for the grid. And this will basically just tell us what it is. The CSS Grid Layout module offers a grid-based layout system with rows and columns, making it easier to design web pages without having to use floats and positioning. In basic terms, what this means, it'll just make your life a whole lot easier when positioning elements. Little examples are here. Once again, you can come to w3schools.com. Just come here and you can look at and read the documentation, look at examples, and we can go ahead and look at this, some of the basic here. What it's going to do is going to be a positioning tool you can use to position your elements on your page precisely, so it won't be off using measurements and all that. So here, we're just going to go ahead quickly and load up this Visual Studio Code, and this is our project here. So here in Visual Studio Code, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a header. And how to make a header is basically, you just want to put in a header tag. It's just header, just with a tag. We're going to space this out here. And in here, you want to put in nav. Now, the header tag indicates that you're creating a header. And this nav tag here, this nav tag is representing a sidebar. So what this nav tag will do is it will expand the elements out. Usually when you place elements, they stack on top of each other. So let's say if I were to get rid of this nav tag and just try to put a normal a tag in here, so a, just put link. If we come in here, we need multiple of these. This is just an example to show you guys why I put the nav tag in there. It's kind of spaced all together. It's not really nice. And we need a second container around the header. So you just put in the nav around it as an extra container, so that's where we're going to put the actual grid CSS on. Now come here, a, and then herf, just put a hashtag there, so it actually shows us a link, and just copy this as many times as you want. It's just 4, and now come over here into the browser. Yeah, there we go. It's just there. So as you can see, it is lined up on the sides, but it's just all spaced together. This is usually not how a header looks. Up here, this is a nice example of what a header is supposed to look like. Decent space in a box, or just nice positioning, and it's all lined up. So these are all on equal planes, even though they're different size boxes. They're all equaled. So how do we make this equal? With the CSS Grid, of course. Alright, so here, if we come here, go to index.css, we're going to target the nav. That is the container containing our links, our anchors, our a tags. And in this tag, we're going to put display. And in here, we're going to put display grid. So display grid, this activates the grid in the specific element. And in here, we're just going to put very basic grid template columns. this is going to make it line up in columns. So just going to say 1FR, 1FR, 1FR. So you're going to put 4 1FRs, but you can put as many as you have A tags here. So I have 4 A tags, meaning I would have to put 4 1FRs. If you had 3, you would put 3. If you had 2, you would put 2. Unless you wanted to have 2 columns of it. And I'll show you an example after I show you the results of what happens when I put in these 4. Nice and spacious here. This gets spaced, this gets spaced, this gets spaced. It doesn't go stretch all the way, but it does stretch out how long you have these many links here. So it just stretches out a nice amount. You could, so let's say take away 2. It's grid template columns, and we take away 2. And now we see how it is. You see how it stacks up to? These are 2 columns of separate stacks, so you could just put the amount of columns that there is. 2 columns, this is 1, this is 2. This is how the grid works. You would just stack the columns, and depending on how many you do, that's how many columns there would be. So sorry, 1 FR here, that's just 1 column. They're going straight down. We're just all happening with 2. 3, it just puts 3 all straight. But if you put 4, which is the amount that they have on here, it's gonna space it out. So let's see here. Just go 1FR, 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 and how many ever anchor tags you have, that's how many 1FRs you need. So we're just gonna, oops, second. Come back here. There we go. Just lagging for a second. But yeah, that's basically how you space it out. And I'm going to actually show you an example of this down here because it says it here. These are grid columns. So the vertical lines of grid items are called columns. And here you can see a visual representation of what columns are looking like. These would be the columns. So one column goes down, another column. And the thing is, with these columns, we're only using 1 for each. So we don't even have to stack columns on here because there's only 4 elements. If you were to put another one, then it would probably end up like right here, or maybe just close up to the link. It's really just not ideal to have more than 4, or though you could have more than 4. You could have as many as you want, as long as it fits in the page. So yeah, that's just a basic step to make a header, and you can also make it look nicer because a header usually has a background. This is just a very bare bones on how to create a header. So I'm gonna just style it a bit, and I'm gonna walk you through what I'm actually gonna do here. So first off, let me just clean this up a little bit, make this a little nicer looking. Yeah, that's fine for now. So here on this nav, we're actually not going to target this. If you want to actually target the header, you would come here, header, and we're just going to say background, which if you don't know is how you put a background color on something. And this is a random example. I'm just going to have it as black. And what you're going to notice is that it's a little thin line here, and it doesn't look all that nice, rather than this, which is a bit more chunky. So, and we also wanted to hit these little corners here. So how we do that is we come into here, and we're going to say padding, and I'm going to say about 15 pixels. This will make it chunkier. Yeah, that's what padding does. Basically, padding will just hit this, have it all fill out those. You can even have it on the nav too. I'm pretty sure that works either way. Yeah, it's the same result, but I would suggest putting it on the header just so you don't overload one element. It's kind of all working like this way, so there we go. we just put that on there. It's a background black. Looks a bit nicer, although I'd like to fill in these corners. And to do that, think here, you come here, say margin 0. And what margin and padding are just the elements that are used for spacing. So if we come here and hit the inspect element, this is the inspect element. It's another important tool, and I'm actually going to make a video about this sometime soon, but just explaining this in basic terms, it's going to help you inspect elements to figure out what exactly they do. So here, I'm just going to come here and see. You can see here, the header, it covers a decent amount. That margin 0 that I put on it didn't really affect it. Maybe it needs some more margin. No. So yeah, the margin, you just want to put it to minus, yeah. I don't know why it didn't affect it before. I guess my stuff was just kind of glitching the first sec there, but yeah, you just want to take away some of the margin. Usually there would be default stats for this, but we're kind of in an older version of this Visual Studio here. We don't have all that set up. You can use extensions for that, but there we go. Just filled in the edges. We have a nice black background now. And now we just need to change the color of these links. So come here into the code, and now we've gone from targeting the header to the nav, and now we gotta target these A tags, these anchors, the links. So come here, press A. We're gonna go here and we're gonna say color. Which color should it be? I guess we'll go white. White works. And you also want to put text decoration none. Now, what text decoration? I'm pretty sure it's pretty self-explanatory what color does. It just changed the color of it. But what text decoration does is it takes away that line that you saw at the bottom before. That was a little line. It automatically comes on every link tag. So that's just text decoration, just takes it away. Because see here, takes it away. And the line is not really nice looking, so I'm just gonna take it away. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna fill in the space. I'm gonna add one more link. Yeah. 1FR. And boom. We just added another link. We have 5. That's the great thing about CSS Grid. If you ever add something in, you don't have to edit it massively and do any massive changes. You just gotta go ahead and add one more in. You can easily edit it. I'd like to center them a bit more, so I guess we could say here on this A tag, since I want to be a little bit precise here, we could say position relative. And we can go left. So 20 pixels. And the reason why I'm putting in left, even though I want to move it right, is because in code, left is right for position relative. And whenever you want to position something, you gotta use left, because left will move it to the right, while right will move it to the left. It's kind of confusing at first, but pretty easy once you get used to it. I'm gonna move it over a little bit more, so go 60. 90. That probably is gonna be good enough. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, I kind of like that. It's not completely centered, but I'm just trying to show you examples on how exactly you can go about just starting to make a header, you know. And that's about it for the CSS of the header and the HTML of the header. So just reviewing everything that I did, explaining it. In this header, we gave it a background, padding, and a margin. I want to quickly test out something here. was kind of weird that didn't happen immediately. Yeah, so you gotta put a minus margin on the header or to fill out the spaces if you do have that. I think that was just there because I haven't put the default settings in. There would usually be a default setting and you wouldn't have to do this, but I don't have it set up for this project, so you probably would have to put a minus margin on it to fill in those edges. Then you could have your link, 2, 3, 4, 5 links here. So oops, come into here, and as you can see, so yeah, we just added a padding. The padding just made it a bit bigger. Background black just made it black background, and margin just made it so the space was filled in. Here in the nav, we put display grid on it and gave it 5 1FRs, the same amount as the A tags that we have here, and that caused it to line up nicely and smoothly. And then here in the A tag, we just gave it a position relative and moved it to the left. And then here, we just made it color white and then took away its text decoration. Pretty simple. It's not all that difficult to make a header or anything like it. It's super simple, and the grid is one of the easiest ways to make your entire life easier. You can just position almost everything on your website using the grid. But for now, we're just going to keep it with the header and using it to position these A tags. And yeah, that's basically it for making a header. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. Any feedback is appreciated. Make sure to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you're new and want some more coding tutorials. And also make sure to check out my other videos on the courses, these 3 other videos. They're nice, and they also give you some more qualities if you're just learning how to code. And this is your first video, you can go check out the other ones, and it'll teach you some more basic things. So yeah, that's basically it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.